Welcome to Database Management System series of lectures. Today we will discuss about Unit 1, Topic 8, that is Schema in DBMS. What is a schema? Schema is the structure of the database. It is the structure of the data which is stored in the database. Schema can also be defined as the logical view of the database. This schema helps us to provide the knowledge about the database and what data needs to go where. Let us take this as an example to understand better about schema in DBMS. So here we have a table with the name course. This is the table name and these are the three columns: course ID, course name and department. These are the three columns which we have for course table. So here we can call that this is the schema for the course table. This just gives the information about the structure about the table course and what are the components which the course has. The second table is student table. And we have three columns: student ID, student name, course ID as the three columns, which defines the schema for the student table. And the third table here is section. Here you have student ID column name, section ID column name, and course ID column name. The three columns here. So this is the schema for course table, this is the schema for student table, and this is the schema for section table. Now, in student table, we found course ID as the common element, common column name from both the tables, which means that we are creating a connection between course table with student table with the help of this column name. This is what called as relationship between one table to the other table. And the second table, from second table, when you compare table 1, table 2 and table 3, student ID is the column from student table, course ID is the column from course table. From the course table, right? So this is how we are creating a relationship from one table to the other table. Now let us look at the types of schemas which are there. Schema is divided into three types: physical schema, logical schema, and view schema. What is physical schema? Physical schema defines the underlying structure of the data which is represented in terms of blocks. So this table occupies how many data blocks in the memory. This detailed information can be known from physical schema, which will be totally abstracted from the higher levels of schemas. The second type of schema is logical schema, which just defines the structure of the data which is stored in the database. Okay. So which is also abstracted from the lower level physical schema and the higher level view schema. And the third type of schema is view schema. View schema gives a high level of abstraction from the underlying structure of the database as well as the internal representation of the data. So view schema will be able to represent the data from various tables. Let us say that you have student table, course table, and section table. Now, I wanted to, as a user, I just wanted to view only student ID, course ID, and section ID. These are the columns from one table to the other table. So only these three are viewed by the user. As per the requirements of the user, only the required or the desired columns can be viewed. This representation can be done by view schema. Yeah, next, instance in DBMS. What is an instance? Instance is a real world entity which exists in the data. Real world entity which exists in the data. So the data which is stored for a particular moment of time is called as an instance. Database schema defines the attributes of the database at particular a moment of time is called as an instance of a database. Now, to understand this, let us take an example. Student is a table which has three columns, that is student ID, student name, and then student contact number. So this is nothing but the structure of the database. That means a schema of the student table. Now, after inserting the data into this table, you will have items displayed like this. Now I have student ID with number 100. Student name is ARC and student contact number is 9000112233. Right? So at this point of time, how many records are inserted into this table? Only one record. So now the instance of the student table is only this record of information. Okay. At later point of time, that means now the time is 8 a.m. Okay. At this point of time, I have only one record which is available in this table. After few seconds, I have inserted three records. 101 with BBB with 911223344 5. And I have another record 102 with a CCC with 8 666 77 88 44 and 103 with the DDD 8 7 7 6 5 5 4. Okay. So by 8:10 a.m., there were few more records that have been inserted into the table. Now, the instance of the student table will be 4. Okay. Now, at later point of time, I have deleted row 2 with the student ID 101. So, by 8:12 a.m., I found only 3 records. So the instance of the student table will gives you 3 records. That is 3. Okay. So for at any particular moment of time, how many number of records which are available in the database is termed as an instance in the database. Now, let us look at the differences between the database schema and the instance. Database schema, it is the definition of the database. Just defines how the data will be available in the database. Whereas database schema, database instance is a snapshot of the database at a specific moment of time. So this is just the definition or the description of the database, whereas here it is a snapshot of a database. The second difference is that it corresponds to the variable declaration of a programming language. So you just represent how many number of columns that we have, and every column can be taken as a one particular variable to access to it. Whereas the database instance defines the value of the variable in a program at a particular moment of time is called as database instance. Not just the variable, but the value corresponding to that particular variable at a specific time. Then the third difference is that it defines the basic structure of the database. Whereas database instance is nothing but the set of information stored at a particular moment of time. The fourth difference is that schema will be same for the whole database. Whereas instances can be changed as and when the insertions and the deletions and updations are made, it keeps on changing. The values may not be same from one point of time to the other point of time. And then finally, the database schema does not change very oftenly, whereas it changes very frequently. So these are the differences of the schema and the instance. That's it. Thank you.